great friend, John Vroman. And when he was writing his book, I knew that one day I wanted to have something together to like pass on. And it was something that I was like, oh, one day I'm going to write something. And I didn't, I had no intention in terms of, and this sounds so bad, impacting people now. But I was like, I want this for my great grandkids. I want them to know what I was all about, and they could be like, oh my gosh, look what Nana used to teach. And so that is something that really excited me. So that's what the book spawned from, because I had been coaching youth, teens, young professionals, people in transition for so many years. And I said, man, I hope that my kids like get this kind of coaching, because I know what it can do for them, and I know what it did for me. But for myself, in terms of like my journey with helping people live their best life, and I'm very big on, days are short. So what are you doing to make them count now? And are you utilizing the gifts and talents that you've been given? I really do believe we all have these incredible superpowers, and we need to be intentional to, one, really identify what they are, right? And then make a choice to actually use them. So for me, it was at 19, like I knew younger, I was always going to do something. I loved giving back. I worked with youth. I worked with ministry. A lot of mission trips, right, growing up when I was younger. And I went to a Christian college. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I was off the deep end, partying, just getting crazy. And I did that in high school too. I got kicked out and, did my things. But it was almost like, so I got into this car accident between my freshman and sophomore year of high school, college, on my drive home from summer camp, like working at it. And I got into this wreck, Hector, that I should have been gone. And it was awful. They had to have jaws of life. I mean, it was an insane accident. And I remember sitting, watching everything happen. And I talk about this in the book, but like, I had no idea if I was alive or dead. I didn't know what happened. But what that did, it was a call to action that said, hey, Kat, stop screwing around. You've been given things, and it's time to start using it, because as you saw today, at any day, you could be gone. Doesn't have to do with health. Like health is important, take care of yourself, but like there's other things that happen, right? And you could just be gone. So it was a real big call from, like, I felt from my creator saying, like, I put you here on this planet and you are wasting your talent and you are wasting the gifts I've given you. Wake up, or your days could be done. And that's where it really, like, I had that call to action, and it was really crazy. I remember talking to my dad, but my sophomore year of college, I was trying to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? What major, and switch majors like 3 times. And they said, well, give yourself a dream title. I said, I want to be a maximum potential finder. And that's really where the journey started. And then I was blessed enough to come across, a company that I worked with all through college and continue to support, because I really love what they do for young people in terms of opening eyes to what's possible. Well, I think for me, it was something that I really do feel that internally, like, I just always enjoyed being able to, like, help and serve at soup kitchens. And but then as I got older, I was like, I just want to party and have a good time, but when this happened, I really I started being more attentive and more intentional as to what I wanted. I never really thought much about what I wanted. I know I wanted to be a good person. I know I wanted to give back, but I never really thought about what my life could look like. It was more, until that time, it was more of, I'll do the best of what I've got, versus here's what I want. How do I get there? And I'd never thought about things like that. So after this happened, it was like, man, people like just kind of showed up in my life. Things showed up that guided me, saying, like, what could it be? Because until that point, Hector, my life was, I just don't want to struggle. Right. And that was like the only real goal I had, was I don't want to struggle and I want to be able to give back. But it was never like, here's what I do want. I knew what I didn't want, but I never identified what I did want. And so that really, through the people, through companies, through just like different interactions and experiences that I had, all of a sudden my mind started being open to, wow, like, we could actually, like, all these people, I mean, when you study and you look at some of the most successful people, like, they all talk about visualization. They all talk about attracting things. They all talk about really identifying, like, where they wanted to be, what they wanted to have, who they wanted to be, and then starting to live in that way. And so that really started happening, through my 20s. And I'll tell you, it was a roller coaster. It wasn't like everything was perfect, but I was able to, like, as I started connecting and working with youth, that's where it clicked. Like, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to work with youth, which I had never I'd never identified that prior. But when that happened, I was like, man, like I think about, I meet these 40, 50, 60-year-olds all the time. I work with some of them, I coach them. And as I speak to some of them, I feel like sometimes I'm talking to some of my 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. They're just in an older body. And I started realizing more and more as I met their parents, as I saw people speak, I'm like, holy crap, like they're just kids that got older, didn't necessarily mature, don't have emotional intelligence, they just got older. And I was like, holy crap, if we could teach more people early on, the tools and resources in terms of really being able to, deal with rejection, overcome adversity, set goals, perseverance, taking ownership versus blaming, and we can start doing that with our youth, how much better could our world be? How much better trained will those adults be, right? Like as they grow older, what kind of kids will they raise? And could we change, generation to generation through impacting our young people? And I got really passionate about that. And just watching these kids that all of a sudden, when they were in an environment where they were believed in, and they were poured into what was possible. And it was insane. And I'm sure you can relate just watching some of these people that had just really background, and whether it was like addictions, arrests, getting into trouble, bad family life, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and seeing them with low confidence or just constantly getting into trouble, and see them blossom and wanting to do good and wanting to create something great for themselves and not be another statistic. And it was just such a beautiful thing. And honestly, I just got like hooked. And I'm like, wow, like look at these kids transforming, and what could this do, and what ripples could this create? And it's been pretty amazing to watch some of that already. And I hope there are many more for years to come after I'm gone. But it's pretty awesome. I feel like it's been a lot of things stacked, and then there's been moments where I'm like, wow, like holy moly, I had no idea how many people, through our work, through what anything that I dedicated my life to typically was something I wanted to actually do. I wanted to do meaningful work, and I knew that, from that point forward. So whatever I did, I wanted it to be able to create a ripple effect. So whoever I was speaking to, like who could they impact, who could they influence, and so that became very at the forefront. So there was a lot of things that stacked, and I remember at one point, I think it was about 6 years ago, and I was just like trying to figure out, like, am I still doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And it really, for me, my life came down to like impact, legacy, and it was really in alignment with that. So I don't know that I can identify a specific thing. I will say, like, this book for me is really bringing that to life on another level. Because like one of my great friends and mentors, John Vroman, who's Front Row Foundation founder, he had said, well, I know you're going to write this, and you need to, because it's so great. The teachings that are there, and the teachings that you were taught that's helped you design this life. And he said, but why are you going to wait? Why not do it now? Like, how many more people could be impacted now? And so I feel like the book has really taken like my, I guess, intentionality and life mission to another level, where I was like, man, I didn't even think about that. And I think so many people out there have like these amazing thoughts, ideas. They have incredible stories that they've been through that they keep to themselves, because they might think like, oh, well, I'm just another person. There's a lot of people out there doing all this, or who am I to speak on this or say this? And they keep things bottled inside, where like what they have could literally change the world, or at least someone's world, And I really realized that this past year, even though for so long, like almost 2 decades, I've been talking about, how to really maximize your potential and really utilize what you've been given. I realized it for myself. I was really challenged, like, holy crap, like I'm not where I need to be. My next step is like hardcore social media. but I'm like, man, I need to get out there and spread the word. And I really challenge anyone listening to this, like maybe you have an idea, maybe you've had something that's pulled at you, but it's easy to like discourage yourself. And by the way, writing this book, I could not think, and my husband was like, I have never seen you like this. I could not identify a time in the past like decade and a half that I had been so self-conscious, had so much self-doubt. Like, it's been a while. And I got in a nice comfort zone of my jam and teaching, and really became an expert in what I did. But like, I had not been challenged, like, and I was like in tears, and I'd be writing. I'm like, why am I even taking time to do this? Like, there are so many incredible people in the personal development world. Like, who am I to do this? And I caught myself going to it. I'm like, what are you saying? I'm like, you have to do this. And it's what I tell people all the time. And stepping out there and putting it, and you just never know. And it's really cool when you study, again, a lot of successful people, because many of them, it's the same thing. They were like, I just felt like I needed to do this, and I just did it. I had no idea where it would go. And just like seeing, how that evolved. And so I hope if, anyone who's watching, if there's something there, like, just do it. And when all that self-doubt and all those questions come into play, just shut it up and be like, no, this is happening, because you have something good.